What do you get when you mix gothic edge, wonderful visuals, and awkward goofiness? Apparently, you get only half of whatever the hell Tim Burton's made of. Yep, we're talking about good old Tim Burton today. Honestly, I'm surprised it's taken me this long to talk about the man, as he's always been something of an enigma to me. He's created so many iconic characters, stunning visuals, and was also the brilliant mind behind Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventures. No, he did not direct Nightmare Before Christmas. Burton has always been a bit of an odd case in the world of movies. He's both whimsical, yet twisted. He's even scary when he's not trying to be. He's just so distinct that he's practically created an art style entirely unique of his own. Something that no matter what project of his you are watching, you know 100% of the time it's him behind the wheel. He's just that memorable of an artist, whether it be how he designs monsters, backgrounds, or if it has Johnny Depp. But despite his legacy, he was never a perfect director. He made mistakes, heck, he even made bad movies. But there was one project in particular of his that I can't seem to wrap my head around, because on the surface, it should have been one of, if not the biggest slam dunk of his entire career, and yet, it wasn't, leaving it to ultimately become lost to the far reaches of the internet where it was left to grow a small fandom. So today, call me a grave robber because we are digging up the remains of the Corpse Bride. But before we do, allow me to get into fitting uniform. Yeah, there we go. Now, I have a strange relationship with The Corpse Bride because when I was a kid, I never saw it. And you see, there's a reason for that. Occasionally, whenever I was watching an old DVD or whatnot, this movie's trailer would occasionally play, and it freaked me out. Yep, as a kid, I was so terrified of this clay puppet, I actively avoided it like I owed it money. That line of "you may now kiss the bride" left me quaking in my boots. I don't know, man, to my tiny self, this was the Antichrist. But now, as a much bigger self and a certified big boy, I finally decided to face my fears for the spooky season and watch it for the very first time, because despite it scaring me so much as a kid, I can't lie, it never really left my mind. There's something so incredibly fascinating about that trailer that never quite left me. So, with Shield in hand, I finally decided to give it a watch. And it was okay. Honestly, after watching this movie for myself, I probably have far more questions than I do answers, because as I discovered, this is such a Tim Burton movie that it kind of ruins the experience of it. Yep, there is a thing as too much Tim Burton, and this movie is living proof of that. So, where does one even begin with this film? Well, if I were to start anywhere, I do have to say that the highlight of this movie is absolutely the animation. Not only in how effective its stop motion is, but also in its creativity. The idea of making the dead full of life and the living world full on drab and just completely colorless is a neat idea, and the designs for all the characters are so incredibly neat. If I had to put it in few words, this film feels like a natural blend between 3D and 2D, with a lot of the designs here feeling tailor-made for a 2D art style, but through clever positioning and character animations, managed to work flawlessly as 3D models. Honestly, the stop-motion animation for this movie is worth the price of admission alone. The level of detail, not only in the world, but the expressions, is a thing of absolute beauty. You can really feel each expression each character are feeling in a certain moment. It really is quite spectacular. Unlike the story. Now hold on, peeps. Do you want to be featured in a video? Just like Scott Shroomsman, Builder Studios, and the wonderful A. Roach? Then you need to subscribe right now, because I'm on a mission to get to 30,000 subscribers, and I need your help in order to reach it. So, if you want to help me on my mission to get to 30,000 subscribers and potentially get a shout out, then all you have to do is subscribe right now and go into the comment section to tell me you subscribed. And who knows, might just be your name as the one featured in the very next video. But with that, peeps, let's get back into The Corpse Bride. Now, I know this movie has its fair share of fans, some might even call it a cult classic, but for me personally, I don't see it. Ask yourself this, peeps, what exactly is the point of this movie? Sure, it's about misunderstandings, but really think about it. What exactly is this movie trying to say? What goal is it striving to achieve? What reaction does it want the audience to have after viewing it? Well, your guess is as good as mine, because despite the pretty visuals and the concept that seems ripe with potential, this movie really does just sort of go with the flow. After all, take Totally Not Johnny Depp, Victor. What's his deal? At first, he's forced into an arranged marriage by his parents, and then when he can't get his vows correct, he goes into the woods in order to practice, and then accidentally marries a corpse who just happens to be a bride. What are the chances? But besides the odds of this happening, we never really get a true understanding of who Victor actually is. We know he has a thing for piano, but outside of that, he pretty much just does whatever because of the plot. Why does he lie to Emily? Because he's kind of a dick, apparently. Why does he want to marry Victoria? Because we need conflict with him and Emily. Why does he suddenly want to die in order to be with Emily in the afterlife, despite only knowing her for a day? Why does he switch up at the end and decides to marry Victoria despite clearly connecting more with Emily? Because fuck it, that's why. This is kind of what I mean when I say this movie is so Tim Burton that it hurts. Because instead of the events falling naturally into place, they just kinda happen for the sake of meeting Tim Burton's expectations. Like the tragic love triangle that doesn't really develop who the characters are, because while we get plenty of development for Emily and some of Victor, like that beautiful piano scene, oh chef's kiss, we practically get nothing for Victoria. So it begs the question, why should we care if Victor gets with Victoria when you've clearly shown that he's a better match with Emily? Now, I get what they were trying to do by having Emily realizing that she doesn't need to fall in love with the first man who proposes to her and finding peace in that. But, I don't know, man. You've been building up this relationship for most of the movie, only to switch it around at the very last second and not even have it be Victor's decision, it's Emily's. I don't know, it just feels kinda lazy. And speaking of lazy, did we really need a third act villain? Like, I get it. He's the one that killed Emily, but outside of that, you could remove him from the story and nothing would really change. Again, it kinda just feels like Tim Burton including elements just because he wanted them rather than it contributing to the overall narrative. Which is a shame, because outside of the very messy story and the underdeveloped characters, I do feel like there could be a good movie in here somewhere. Like, I can picture how it could be better, how it could be more interesting. I'd say that out of any animated movie that deserves to be remade, it probably would be this one. Either in a movie or a stage musical, I can really see this film being a slam dunk if only given a second chance. But reality is often disappointing. I doubt we will ever see this film brought back. Which, you know, is a shame. I think it's safe to say that I have mixed feelings about The Corpse Bride. It definitely seems like something that only really holds up by its animation and nostalgia for it, as everything else about it does feel underwhelming. And mind you, that's coming from someone who used to be absolutely terrified of this film's existence. But I do have to say that while I didn't get it, I can definitely see why it's a cult classic. It has a certain charm to it, one that can be very infectious. Its mix of tragedy and light-hearted horror makes it the perfect film for Halloween. Plus, a lot of you watching this video, I imagine, probably grew up with this movie, so it just naturally appeals to you a lot more, which, you know, there's no shame in. After all, I still love Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, despite that movie being not up to par. Overall, I think it's safe to say that The Corpse Bride is a movie that should have meant a lot more than it actually did, because ultimately, it just feels undercooked. And Tim Burton truly is a one-of-a-kind director. Whether it be good or bad, There's quite frankly nobody that does it like him. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on The Corpse Bride? Did you love it, or are you in the same boat as I am? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm interested to see what it is you guys have to say on this too. And if you enjoyed today's video and want to see more content just like this, then be sure to like this video and subscribe. Doing so not only tells me you want to see more stuff like this, but it actually helps me make that content for you guys a whole lot faster. But with that, peeps, it's been the Pink King here, and I will see you all next time.